The Chinese, as they are today, are people who have been suffering for a very long time, especially under Mao, and who feel that the world is cruel to them. Can it have a peaceful rise? Quite possible. Will it be peaceful after it has risen? I cannot say.
This makes Xi Jinping the most dangerous opponent.
中国的崛起对世界来说是好事还是坏事？有人说中国的发展带动了全球经济，但也有人指责说中国的低人权优势和蛮不讲理正在危害世界。今天我就整合了3位全球最顶尖的大佬的观点，从李光耀的洞察到马来西亚前总理的警告，再到资本大鳄索罗斯的担忧，相信听完他们的观点，大家可能也会有新的启发。
Can it have a peaceful rise? Quite possible. For 20, 30, 40 years. Will it be peaceful after it has risen? I cannot say. When the Deputy Prime Minister, our Deputy Prime Minister, who is now Prime Minister, went to Taiwan, the barrage of vicious articles on him on the internet from young students was intense. Suddenly, from a good old friend, we became a brand new enemy. Overnight. That gives us cause for reflection. It can become. Now they keep on saying, we're not going to be a hegemon. Never. No, I believe it for their lifetime. But as I think of the young attacking us, I think overnight I became an enemy. How is that? So I explained it to my friends. I said, no, when you do that, you annoy 1.3 billion people. The Chinese have had 4,000 years or 5,000 years of all kinds of catastrophes, earthquakes, floods, famine, invasions, where the central government failed entirely. And nobody can help you. You've got to help yourself. Let me tell you this anecdote. I was having my game left shoulder from golf being massaged by a very superior Chinese master who attends to their leaders. I mean, they sent him down to try and fix my game shoulder, and he fixed it in 3 weeks. So we had to chat because I have 45 minutes on the couch. What can I do? So there was a flood up the Yangtze River. So I said, oh, well, now you've opened up. You get lots of relief supplies. He looked at me and puzzled. He says, you don't understand. The relief supplies will arrive in Shanghai. The floods will prevent it from reaching the villages. And each village knows that it's going to happen from time to time. And up on a little hill, they keep the rice, the salt, and all the essentials safe so that they will survive such a calamity. And that habit, just like the Japanese have the kit underneath their bed for earthquakes, that is their habit of surviving. So they stuff the money under the pillow because banks are not trustworthy, or gold.
And that habit is not going to change. That habit of saving.
It will take a long time. It will take 1-2 generations of affluence. And it may happen in the cities, and they are planning 10 urban centers with 40 billion people each. That's their plans, on the greater scheme of things. 40 billion people in 4 mega cities, all with, you can call up a meeting anytime you want. You call a riot anytime you want. So it's a different world. Therefore, you have to pay attention to what people think. And today they're watching the internet very carefully because they know what the average person in the cities are thinking.
Now, what are they afraid of? Where is their fear of?
No, it's not afraid. They just do not want to lose control.
Well, so they're afraid of control.
No, they are afraid that they will lose control of the situation. In the old days, way back in Mao's days, everybody is dependent on the state. The state is the only employer, and everybody has what you call a hukou. Hukou is a residence permit. And if you lose your job because you're anti the government or you're a crook or whatever, you've had it. There's no other employer. But today, there are multiple employers, all companies.
So people have options.
Yes, absolutely. And that means the government has lost control over the people. I mean, they can be entrepreneurs, they run their own businesses, shops, whatever it is.
But are they moving towards some form, not a Western form, some form of more participation in the political process?
They are co-opting all the successful people into the communist system.
that's a smart policy.
Jiang Zemin calls it the three representatives. So whether you're an artist, whether you're a businessman, whether you're an activist, anybody who's got the extra drive to contribute to a greater China, come and join us.
You say China and the United States will have competition, but they must avoid conflict.
Yeah. No, I think both sides don't want conflict.
They don't want conflict. Yeah. China wants to spend time focusing on its internal development, its economic development.
China wants time to grow. If there's going to be any conflict, let's postpone it for 50 years.
But inevitably, at some point, as China grows, it's going to want to be the dominant nation in the world because it'll have...
But it is not going back to Tang China or Han China, where they were the only dominant power in the world. This time they're going back to a world where there are several dominant poles that's as inventive and more creative than them.
So we're looking at a multipolar world.
Yes, absolutely.
And we'll never go back to sort of the kind of thing that we had between the Soviet Union and the United States.
No. There'll be the US, there'll be China. The Indians are going to be themselves. They're not going to be anybody's lackey. They may not be as big as China in GDP.
And you also suggest they've got to develop a manufacturing capacity.
Yes, of course. The Chinese, as they are today, are people who have been suffering for a very long time, especially under Mao, and who feel that the world is cruel to them. And therefore they're very edgy. The Chinese, if you talk to Chinese leaders now, those over 60, they're all with Russian as their second language.
Right.
In 20, 25 years' time, you're going to meet a generation who are now in the lower ranks, who have been to America and Britain and Europe, and will be English-speaking and have different models in their minds. And they will know that they are not going to be the sole power in the world. Not ever again. Because this is a globalized world. And they know that they are dependent on the world for their growth. The resources that they need.
So they're going to be part of the world.
Yes. Before meaning up till the time when the British and the others colonialized them in a partial way, everything grew within China. Whatever they needed, they captured territory.
Then they found global markets.
George H.W. Bush invited them to sell to America. He was the U.S. representative before they had ambassadors. And he had a liking for them. They were good to him. So he says, you sell to us. And they sold, and it succeeded. And they said, yeah, this is the way to get out of our poverty.
That was your friend Deng Xiaoping that said that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then they got into the World Trade Center as a member, WTO. There are two rules of law in China. One for the ordinary citizen, and the other for 76 million members of the Communist Party. And the judges will do what they know what the leaders require to keep the country stable. I think the U.S. can be a benign stabilizer of the world order.
A benign stabilizer.
Yeah. Without the U.S., East Asia would never have grown. You brought peace and technology, trade and investments, and East Asia flourished.
Well, that's clear. It's happened in East Asia. Yeah, you're talking about Singapore and North and South Korea.
No, absolutely. So,
the man that you most admired of all the people you'd ever met was Deng Xiaoping.
Yeah.
That's what you told me.
Yeah.
Deng Xiaoping admired you too because he sent Chinese, 30,000, 40,000 of them, to Singapore to figure out what you were doing. Am I right?
Yes.
What was it you were doing that he wanted to see?
He was astonished when he came for the first time in 1978 to tell us to prevent Vietnam from invading Cambodia because they're doing it on behalf of the Russians. Then he found a Singapore which was contrary to what he was given in his brief.
Yes.
He found a prosperous, orderly society, everybody owning their own homes and with a job. So I said, how did you get there? I said, well, we educated our people, and look at all these companies, Americans, Japanese, Europeans. They bring technology, they train our people, we learn how to do things. And because we're cheaper, after a while we become general managers and company managing directors. And we learn how to do that, and we become suppliers to them. So he said, oh, you made use of capitalism to build a more egalitarian society. Everybody owns their own home. I will do the same.
And he did?
He did. He did. He went back and declared 12 special economic zones. Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Dalian, and so on. All the coastal cities, and they succeeded.
So he was the greatest man you ever met because understood, because of the results. He changed the nation, and therefore...
He's a member of the old guard. He fought in the Long March.
Right.
He chased the KMT out across the Yangtze. He led the...
He was a victim of the Cultural Revolution.
Yes, but he was realistic. He knew the system was not working. He knew that they were going to end up down in a deep hole. And he decided, against all the advice of his fellow old guards, that we will change course.
And he had the brains and the power to pull it off.
Yes. And when they tried to stop him in 1992 from going too fast, he went down to Shenzhen and said, learn from all countries in the world. And most of all, learn from Singapore. The order is good, and they are a very prosperous society.
You've never had a moment that you thought Singapore was too authoritative, have you? Not one moment.
My job is to get the place going and give everybody a decent life and a decent education. And we're now the best educated people in the whole of East Asia. Our universities, we've got 4 universities, 4th one coming up.
So the end justifies the means, whatever it might be.
No, the ends were laudable. Everybody wants the same ends. Everybody wants good education, good health.
A good life, and their children do better than they did.
The means, I had the consent and support of the population. If they opposed me and they did not cooperate, it wouldn't have worked.
You were in control of everything.
No.
Yes, you were. You know that.
But I never thought that the Soviet Union would implode so easily. Yeah. And I never thought that the Chinese would abandon the communist system and move into the free market so readily. It was unthinkable 20 years ago. Both has happened. The world has changed. They're quite happy to be Chinese and to remain as such. So when you tell them you ought to do this, you ought to do that, they say yes, thank you. And at the back of their minds, we have lasted 5,000 years, have you? That Beijing Olympics, if you watch it, what was the message?
We're back.
No, 5,000 years. And don't forget, we invented all these things. And we're going to go ahead in the next 5,000 years. It's the only country where a language has survived 5,000 years. The only country where the present generation shares the same basic thinking as the past. And they're very proud of it. I mean, you read Hu Jintao's speech on the 60th anniversary. I mean, it's all translated on the web.
No.
What is it? We have 5,000 years of civilization. We are going to get there. And it's a rousing speech. It may take us a long time. You're going to work very hard. We will do it. That's their mood. So you don't have to encourage them. What you got to get them to understand is, with it goes responsibility. Hungry Africans, hungry, sick other people. This is a global problem. You can't just take copper and gold and to hell with it. You got to have a responsibility for the people whose copper and gold you're mining. It goes with the job. And they will have to learn that. I think they're already beginning to learn that, so they're giving something back.
It's a pleasure to talk to you again, as always.
I have always regarded China as a neighbor, a good neighbor, and also as a very big market for whatever it is that we produce. So Malaysia is a trading nation. Yeah. We need markets. We can't quarrel with such a big market as China. We welcome foreign direct investment from anywhere, certainly from China. But when it involves giving contracts to China, borrowing huge sums of money from China, and the contract goes to China, and China contractors prefer to use their own workers from China, use everything imported from China, and even the payment is not made here, it's made in China. So we gain nothing at all. That kind of contract is not something that I welcome. The other thing is that they develop whole cities, very sophisticated cities, very expensive cities, which Malaysians cannot buy. So they are going to bring foreigners to live in those cities. Now, no country in the world will accept a lot of immigrants coming into the country. I'm against, even if it is from India or from Arab countries or from Europe, foreign immigrants in huge numbers, nobody welcomes, and certainly not Malaysia. That is not what we want. Well, in the past, we go by the shelf in the sea, and an area that is less than 200 miles from our shores, facing our shores, belong to us, is our sea. So we find that in that sea there are certain rocks which we have developed into islands, and we hope that we will stay on those islands because it is a part of our keeping the sea safe from pirates and other things. So we want to retain, of course, about 4 or 5 islands that we have occupied. The rest, whoever thinks it is theirs can occupy. But it should be something that if China claims that South China Sea is theirs, but those islands have always been regarded as ours for a long time. So we want to retain that.
I'll focus on China, where Xi Jinping wants a one-party state to reign supreme. A lot of things have happened since last year, and I've learned a lot about the shape that totalitarian control is going to take in China. All the rapidly expanding information available about a person is going to be consolidated in a centralized database to create a social credit system. Based on that data, people will be evaluated by algorithms that will determine whether they pose a threat to the one-party state. People will then be treated accordingly. The social credit system is not yet fully operational, but it's clear where it's heading. It will subordinate the fate of the individual to the interests of the one-party state in ways unprecedented in history. I find the social credit system frightening and abhorrent. Unfortunately, some Chinese find it rather attractive because it provides information and services that aren't currently available and can also protect law-abiding citizens against enemies of the state. China is not the only authoritarian regime in the world, but it's undoubtedly the wealthiest, strongest, and most developed in machine learning and artificial intelligence. This makes Xi Jinping the most dangerous opponent of those who believe in the concept of open society. But Xi isn't alone. Authoritarian regimes are proliferating all over the world, and if they succeed, they will become totalitarian. As the founder of the Open Society Foundations, I've devoted my life to fighting totalizing extremist ideologies which falsely claim that the ends justify the means. I believe that the desire of people for freedom can't be repressed forever, but I also recognize that open society are profoundly endangered at present. What I find particularly disturbing is that the instruments of control developed by artificial intelligence give an inherent advantage to authoritarian regimes over open societies. For them, instruments of control provide a useful tool. For open societies, they pose a mortal threat. I use open society as shorthand for a society in which the rule of law prevails as opposed to the rule by a single individual, and where the role of the state is to protect human rights and individual freedom. In my personal view, an open society should pay special attention to those who suffer from discrimination or social exclusion, and those who can't defend themselves. By contrast, authoritarian regimes use whatever instruments of control they possess to maintain themselves in power at the expense of those whom they exploit and suppress. How can open societies be protected if these new technologies give authoritarian regimes a built-in advantage? That's the question that preoccupies me, and should also preoccupy all those who prefer to live in an open society. Open societies need to regulate companies that produce instruments of control, while authoritarian regimes can declare them national champions. That's what has enabled some Chinese state-owned companies to catch up with and even surpass the multinational giants. This isn't, of course, the only problem that should concern us today. For instance, man-made climate change threatens the very survival of our civilization. But the structural disadvantage that confronts open societies is a problem which has preoccupied me, and I'd like to share with you my ideas on how to deal with it.